Hello friends, Niki here from my mobile office from this construction site here in Melbourne. Big thank you to all my Patreons. If you want to support these videos, hit the link in the description box. Let's get into it. Munich semi-final round as you wished. Here it goes. Hardest semi-final round this year. Maybe on par with Moscow. Anyway, pretty nails, so let's go. Enjoy, have fun, leave us a like and comment what you want to see next. Remember, Whale is this weekend, tomorrow and today, whatever. See you after Whale. By the way, this report will be a little bit quicker, a little bit rougher, even though it's the longest one, but I'm mixing two categories in one video. So we start with women, then male, women, male, and so it's a little bit less in detail compared to the final reports, just to get it out there and to have a rough overview of what happened in the semi-final round. Enjoy!
Welcome to this epic semi-final to Munich. As mentioned before, it was a hard round and we start in chronological order. Boulder number 1, female on the left side, Mattea Pötzl from Austria in her first boulder. This red boulder set with X-cult holes and a lot of slopers, pinches, and it had already a really hard starting position. Climb a little bit, left hand pushing into the right shoulder, taking a look for the right foothold, which is a toe hook. So stepping up with the left, and now the toe hook. The toe hook keeps you on the right side, and as soon as you let go or release the toe hook, your body moves to the left. She releases the toe hook and cannot fight against the swing. In her second or third, whatever try, she finds a way. I zoomed in. She flips the right hand and uses the pinch to kill the momentum. Anyway, this is not the hardest move by any means. The hardest move, the crux, is here. It's really hard to get to the zone. As a first starter, she had the best conditions, and we can see she's jumping to the right even though her left foot is higher, so that means her feet won't help that much to get around the arete and to the sloper. Her tries were really good. Afra Hönig from Germany tried to go instantly to this other pinch. We can see Julia Chanaudy doing the same, crossing over with the right hand and then climbing to the crux. Open grips, especially in Munich, the conditions get worse and worse later in the day. We can see right here the right foot doesn't help really much because it's the lower one, so you're kind of jumping open to the right side and away. So far, only 8 women climbed to the zone. No one was closer than Julia at sticking this move. So we arrive finally at Janja Garnbret as the last starter going into semi-finals and the first woman to send this move around the arete. Wild dino, leg swinging, and then an easy push mental to the top, and we will take a look again how her legs swing around the arete and what she did to make the move possible. Instead of jumping with both feet, she used her right knee, her right leg, to pull it from outside to the inside and use it as a pendulum, using it like a ninja kick. We talked about it in Moscow. Boulder number 1 for the man started with a nice little traverse, and as long as you keep your hip to the left of this line, everything is good. As soon as you move your hip over to the right, a dynamic move to the right is necessary to stop the rightwards movement. And then after this, you kind of sit on this big foothold here, and there's a big difference between sitting on your heel or on your toe. Sitting on your heel means it's a little bit easier, kind of sit really on it. You can let go of your arms, but for the move after this, it's really hard to be flexible with your hip and to get the height out of your heel. We can see Jongwon here. Many guys reach the zone. Jongwon in his, I think it's a flash. It has been a flash. This is a replay. He was the first one climbing the boulder and he used the toe. Only the toe offers your ankle this flexibility to do this foot swap, to be able to get your heel just a little bit away from the wall and have all the time the control over your feet and over your movements. Then just one more right hand bump, an open move with your left hand to a really mean slope, I have to say. Kick over with the left, foot swap, stabilize with the left foot, dragging on the left side. Foot swap again, going into this mean crimp and a really hard crossover, I have to say. Same sloper for the right hand again, foot higher. First top for boulder number 1 and a flash by Jongwon. Alex Megos from Germany made the traverse after a couple of tries. Then he did the foot plant. And then, I don't know, he panicked a little bit. He put a heel hook on the right side. The heel hook keeps you to the right side. So as soon as you release the heel hook, you have to fight the swing. It also minimizes your movement to the left because it keeps you on the right side. His next try was way better, but he didn't stabilize his right foot. Alex tries to backstep with his right foot to stabilize it. Doesn't work out, so let's compare him and Jongwon. We will see here right now, he grabs the sloper maybe a little bit different, but instead of Jongwon, compared to Jongwon, who swap feet and stabilizes his hip and his body with the left foot smearing on the upper panel, Alex Megos' right foot is just in the nirvana, not smearing, not in contact with the wall, and his body is not able to kill this slightly, just a really small amount of momentum. Alexei Rubtsov was the only one sitting on his heel and doing this move. I guess because he's just really strong and doesn't feel any pain on any crimps. Unfortunately, he didn't get the sloper on the left side, a little bit too far on the right side, and couldn't roll over with his hip and didn't top the boulder. Coming in, Adam Ondra as the last starter, making good work here. Especially his hip flexibility is remarkable. He's stretching every day and we can see that. As well, sitting on the toe because this offers him the height and the option to move higher. Didn't foot swap like Jongwon, used his height to go higher. As mentioned before, left hand a little bit further on the left, then swapping feet, pushing with his left foot against the upper panel. Then into the side pull, swapping feet again, always controlled, crimping hard in a stable position with the shoulder and moving to the top hold. Another flash, this time of Adam Ondra, and time for Adam Ondra excitement and joy of boulder number 1. Anje Perhag from Slovenia, we talked about this already in the final. He's an awesome climber, but he's also really good sometimes at dropping the last move. Here it's not even the last move, it's the second to last move because he didn't swap his feet to stabilize and then his shoulders were in the move before a little bit too low, so he couldn't hold the swing. One try later he sent it anyway. Boulder number 2 for the women. I call it crimp deluxe because you mainly had only mean crimps turned sideways, so you always had to pull them against each other, and after these two big footholds, only mean little dual tags footholds where you had to push and press really hard onto them. The wall was not vertical, we can see the angle quite good here, and this is the crux move, going into the zone. Sorry, I said crux move. It's not really the crux move, but the first crux move. If you're a little bit smaller than Alex Johnson from America, who's one of the tallest competitors on the circuit, she was able to reach the zone hold and control it out of this position, standing on these huge volumes. Anyway, didn't help her because you have to raise your feet later. Jessica Pills, a little bit of a close-up, you can see she is strong, she's good on crimps, but you still need to execute it really good, get it really high so your shoulders are stable and in a good position, pushing you onto the footholds. It's a really hard low percentage move, so we compare Mattea Pötzi on the left side and Mia Krampel on the right side. Mattea's right foot is further on the right side and will swing back sooner or later to the left side, Mia's left leg is straight underneath her, so there's no swing, no momentum of her lower body. Can also be a question of power and stability in her shoulder. We see how she loses the stability in her shoulder and falls down. Still far from being over, even though you have to get your left foot higher and then do one move to the penultimate hold, and no one did it so far. Coming in, Evgenia Kazbekova in her flash go, who later said it's a really technical boulder. Okay, if you say so. I didn't climb it. I would consider it as a mega crimpy boulder. She moved slowly, always moved her hip in the stable position before going to the next hold, and flashed boulder number 2. No top so far. One of the most unexpected flashes of the whole season so far. And we will take a look at the move after the zone. Evgenia on the right side drops her right foot so that the majority and her center of gravity is to the left, and there's not much momentum coming once she moves, while Fanny is moving from the far right side to the left side, releases the foot, and her whole hip, her whole body is swinging to the left. She's not able to stick the move. Coming in, Janja Garnbret, flash go. Her hip is also a little bit too far to the right, so she didn't make it. Second go, she made it because she's incredibly strong, and compared to Fanny before, she's able to keep a tight angle in her right arm, elbow, and keep the hip further to the right. Then she jumped. Instead of using these other 2 holds, she just jumped to the top jug, which faces to the left, so she slipped off, and then in her third try, she managed to pull off the second top. Not a flash, and only the second top and boulder number 2. 2 boulders done, 40 climbers, and only 3 tops. That's insane. It's harder than in Moscow, and it's far from being over. Let's take a look at the men's round, which started only with 3 tops as well in boulder number 1. And we see that boulder number 2 is a little bit easier, a little bit more straightforward. You kind of have to jump into the kick, into this flag move. It's really important that your body does not cross this line, especially the hip, otherwise you rotate too far to the left. After this, there are 2 ways. Either you jump with your left foot again, or you gain some stability with lifting your right foot onto the left start hold. After this, left right climbing. Not overly complicated, that's what I want to say. Just the top move is a little bit tricky. Mikael here decides to go feet forward, which the route setters surely not intended to do. The rules say no feet higher than 3 meters. We see here, Jakob, if you have the energy, the power, the crimp strength, you can do the first move without stepping onto the start hold. But Jakob shows us here the intended way, I guess, with the toe hook, which keeps your hip close to the wall. You can match the top hold. A couple of competitors flashed boulder number 2. Adam, the only one crossing over with the main weight on his right foot and crossing into the undercling with his right hand immediately. After this, controlled climbing, looking for the position, and another flash. He uses the toe hook. That's a spoiler, I'm not sorry. Another flash for Adam Ondra in boulder number 2. We've seen many tops on the men's side. Now going into boulder number 3 for the women's category, I can tell you not that many top because it's by far the hardest. We see how this move works. We skip the hold number 2. In a stable position you can pull towards each other, then a heel hook, then you can grab the second hold, and then it's a hard move to the zone. Do you go open or do you match first on hold number 3 and then go to the zone? Switch back with the hand and then one more move into the side undercling pull. Julia Chanody was the second female who was close to getting a zone. So far only Katja Kardic. She was the only one out of 19 climbers to get a zone. That's kind of ridiculous. So we see here Janja in her flash go. She's going straight to the third one, skipping the second hold. Now she bumps into it, uses the same method Julia used, places her heel hook a little bit higher, is able to go into the blue pill, cross over, and then one move for the pictures. Oh, thank you, 180 turnaround and another flash in, I think, the hardest boulder so far of this competition. Hard to compare body positions because only 2 climbers except for Janja made it to the zone. Okay, Julia on the left side grabs the third hold a little bit further on the left side. We can see on the left side that Janja's hand is a little bit further to the right, so the distance she has to move is lower. Also, Janja's foot, the right foot, is lower on the volume, while Julia's right foot is a little bit higher. It's just a tiny difference, but Julia explodes off the wall and doesn't do the move. Let's compare the next move. Katja Kardic on the left side, Janja on the right. Katja decides to put her heel hook on the lower foothold, and we can see that her right arm is straight, so she has to pull way more, while Janja's right arm is already almost in a 90-degree angle and her left heel hook is a little bit higher, and we can see right here what happens to them. While Katja is too straight, her right foot is underneath her left leg compared to Janja's right foot, which is dragging and kind of pushing her into her heel hook. If we take a look at the arm position, Janja's elbows are both bent. She's still powerful in her shoulders, can continue to pull and to push, while Katja's arms are straight and she's already in a downwards movement. Also, take a look at the left hand, whether she controls it or not. Katja doesn't, and Janja has a good grip on it and can continue climbing because her left heel is higher and able to push her into the hand. Well deserved only top in this boulder for Janja Garnbret again. Not only so much stronger, but also so much better. Okay, after this really hard boulder, we need something a little bit more easy, which is boulder number 3 on the male side. This simple 1, 2, 3, even though you had to use a lot of swing and a lot of momentum, while Michael on the left side swings into it. Billy didn't swing onto it, he kept his right foot already on the right foothold, doesn't have enough swing and momentum, his hip will not cross any further to the right, while Michael's knees and his whole hip is in the rightwards movement and carries him upwards. After this, you had many different ways to climb it. Either you were sitting on your right heel, then going into the shoulder, crossing over, or bumping to the top hold. You could also jump, what Michael did. I think it was his last try. We can see the time running out. The difficulty here is that the foothold is kind of facing the wrong direction. It pushes you to the right arrow. It would be easy to push and jump to the right, while you want to go over it and to the left, which can kind of result in slipping. Michael pulls it off, but many other competitors were not able to do it. We can see here how Alex Megos isn't using enough power and isn't using the momentum, while Tim Reuser is doing the jump 2 times in a row, but always slips down, slides down to the left. And we can see really good here how Jörne, as I mentioned before, slips off to the right side. Entertaining and quite a good looking boulder, many options to climb it and to fall. At the top, Alban Levier tries to cross over here with sitting on his right heel, crossing again, doesn't work out. Easiest way to climb it demonstrated by Nathan Phillips here, who had a good face plant in the try before that. With the toe hook on the right, your hip is in a stable position and you can jump into the left hand, into the shoulder, and finish boulder number 3 off. 14 tops in boulder number 3 on the male side, which made it the easiest of the whole semi-final round. And we see another really hard one on the left side for the women. It's kind of a rollover dyno. First you roll over to the right, swing into the side underpole, and with the side underpole you can cross over your left hand, have to match with both hands on the sloper, and then suddenly they were looking for footholds and really desperately. Here from Team Japan, she was stepping on top of it. Jessie Pills was able to keep her foot on the wall, but after this she was kind of lost. She kind of smeared on the left side, smeared again, and then with just smearing you jump really open into the side pole. So no top, a couple of zones, 6 zones so far, but no top as mentioned before. Janja Garnbret coming in. It's time for you, it's time for a top, and as always she tried to deliver. Slowly traversing to the right. The start took a little bit. She didn't seem like really comfortable on this mantle, but after this, as mentioned before, slowly to the right, using the side undercling and then jumping. We can see how her left foot smears against the wall, and she almost had problems sticking the move. She uses the heel and this side undercling to keep her hip close to the wall. Looked really far. She didn't get it really good. In her second bump with the right hand, she has it in a controlled position. Heel hook, rock over, pull on it, and top for Janja Garnbret, who needed some tries for the first move actually. The rest was easy and she flashed the rest. Boulder number 4 in the male category was a mix between new school, because you had to run into the start position, and old school, crimping and pulling at the top. Still quite complex because you needed to get the heel hook or jam your left foot any other way in this crack. Otherwise you didn't have any opposing force on the left side. Unfortunately we couldn't see how Jakob did it, but we can see Alex Megos and the boulder number 4, and the pressure was on. So the heel hook is placed properly, but then he gets the heel hook out, tries it with a toe hook, and he doesn't get the height with it. He tries to push from underneath, drops it, and as mentioned, pressure is on because you had to climb this boulder, otherwise you didn't make it into the finals. So we can see Adam Ondra in his flash go, of course, and he uses his heel hook. The knee seems to be turned in a slight weird way, but it wasn't dangerous, everything's fine. And with flash number 4 in boulder number 4, Adam Ondra of course made it into the final. We can see Jan Hoyer here as well, who made it into the finals with a top in boulder number 4. You kind of bump into the crack. I don't know whether there was a screw on or not, it looked quite okay. Heel hook, knee facing outwards, toes pointing down, good position for Jan, who was able to deal with the pressure in front of his home crowd and went straight into the finals. Last semi-finalist, Gregor Vesunik from Slovenia, knew that the pressure was on and he was able to match on the right hand volume, but his left foot, we can see here, it was not a heel hook, it wasn't a toe hook, and he was devastated. He knew that he dropped it and didn't make it into the finals.
Okay, let's take a look at the women semi-final results. We have 5 tops only, and 4 by Janja of course, and only 1 top by Yevgenia, who didn't climb to the zone in any of the other boulders, so 1 flash got her straight into finals. Then we got 3 more zones and 2 more zones to get into the finals. 4 climbers at all who didn't even get any zone, and 2 climbers of these 4 who didn't climb to a zone were World Cup finalists before that, Oceana and Johanna Färber. Let's compare it to the Moscow final, which looked nails after Moscow, but which was actually way easier, because in Moscow we could see in total 7 tops, so 2 more tops, and these 7 tops were climbed by 5 people. So there was only 1 climber with no top at all climbing into the finals. And what we've seen in Moscow as well was that Shauna Coxey climbed a boulder which Janja could not. I think this is the only boulder this season where someone climbed a boulder which Janja wasn't able to do. So I think we've proven it scientifically researched it really deep into the internet, that the Munich final was by far the hardest final this year, or maybe ever. I think ever. I don't think I've ever seen a semi-final being this hard. When it comes to the male category, it was way easier and looked like a solid semi-final. So let's take a look why it was so hard. Boulder number 1, open grips, slow pass pinches, which are always hard to hold on. The conditions got worse and worse, they deteriorated. Also, as mentioned before, this open jump to the right side. They could have added another footer, I think a little bit higher, just to make the height. You will lose the footer on the right side anyway, because you're jumping around the red. If it's not in-cut, if it's just a little bit slopey, like a dish or whatever, just to execute the move from a little bit higher, then it may have been a little bit easier. Boulder number 2, the crimpy boulder. They could have opened the crimps instead of being like incredible vertical a little bit, opened them a little bit more horizontal. But on the other hand, usually a lot of women are pretty good on crimps, and I think they were just a little bit too hasty. Maybe they overcooked it just a little bit, but I think this was a sure bet for the route setters, and I think they expected more tops anyway on this boulder. Boulder number 3, if you add a jib on these dishes, it gets too easy, too quick. So not many options. Of course, they could have spent some footholds, some jibs on the starting volumes, but doesn't make it any easier when it comes to the crux. So I think this is just like the end boss you want to have in each semi-final round. Boulder number 4, on the other hand, you could have moved the zone hold a little bit further to the left, so you don't have to cross over that far, maybe just like 5 or 10 centimeters. Then you can move the whole top part to the left as well, or you can also lower the side pole where you had to go to, because even after you got the side pole, you still needed to pull really hard, place a heel hook next to your left hand, and even though the side pole is a little bit lower, this move didn't look easy, didn't look like a walk in the park for Janja, so they could have made it a little bit easier there. But as mentioned before, Munich is really unreliable when it comes to the temperatures and the conditions. So we've seen it, like the sun rises, and underneath this glass roof the temperature rises pretty quick, gets hot really, really easily and really fast over the day. So the finals were way better in my opinion. The semi-final was just way too hard, and I think tweaking boulder 1 and boulder number 4 could have worked pretty easily to make it just an easier round. I enjoyed it nevertheless, and just taking a look at it, I hope you enjoyed this quick walk through the semi-final round, which was a little bit dirtier and rougher than my other edits. See you after a while. Stay climb, keep parkour, bye bye!